obviously let's pull it back. And we want to probably go through like the timeline of everything happening. So just so everyone's aware, we are recording this also on the Monday of the U.S. Open week. So if there's things that come out after, just understand where we're at. We have busy lives. But I guess we'll start by like PGA Tour RBC Canadian was Thursday through Sunday. Yep. The LIV Golf event was Thursday through Saturday. They had the draft, I think, Tuesday night, which was right after I think we had recorded.
Yep. Was not broadcasted either, by the way. Which
I think they'll work out those kinks. But right after they had announced other players were joining LIV Golf Tour. And I think where I at least misunderstood was there's the difference of, are they playing in this event or are they actually being like a contracted player who's there for a couple of years? And that's what it's still up in the air on how we're distinguishing it. It hasn't been released. But just to go through the two big names that were really released, which I think these both reportedly had signed contracts, was Bryson DeChambeau, which I had heard $100 million. And then Patrick Reed, what I had heard $50 million, which two villains on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like them.
But what's your thoughts on, two more big names, top 30 relevant players in the world? I don't even think Patrick Reed's in that category anymore, but relevant players on the PGA Tour have won a major recently in the last 5 years, like another well-known players going.
Well, that's what, like, it's funny you bring that up, like Patrick Reed. Like, yeah, this guy has won the Masters, but, like, I've honestly kind of already forgotten about Patrick Reed. Like, you don't see his name a lot on top of these leaderboards, at least over the last year or so. So for me, I was like, okay, like that makes sense. Like they are what a lot of people would call the villains. I think you described that perfectly. So when you saw their names, it's like, it was almost like a not of like why they weren't on there yet. It was just a matter of when. It's like, those are two guys I fully expected to go, because they're both very outspoken guys to begin with, and especially they've been outspoken about the tour and rules and regulations and stuff like that. So when I saw their names, I was like, okay, that's like a storybook ending right there for Greg Norman.
What's your opinion? Of course, but what's your opinion on these guys who said, let me wait a week, wait the first event, wait what the public perception is, let the other guys take the shots, take the bullets, take the negative press. Oh, and find out that some majors are going to let us still play, and then I'll jump on. Is there do you have any thought on or sour taste for them because of that?
No, because I assume that's what a good majority of these guys were going to do, and I don't think you're going to see all these guys jump ship just yet, because all these guys are being allowed to play in the U.S. Open this week, but at the same time too, you still don't know what's going to happen with the Masters, with the Open. It sounds like there's a good chance a lot of these guys can play the European Tour still.
DJ applied for status on it. They haven't come out and said anything yet, which they have the strategic alliance, the valuable thing that really doesn't mean shit.
Yeah,
but they haven't.
It's kind of like everyone's playing the waiting games. Like they're waiting for another. Like obviously one of the big domino was waiting to see what the PGA Tour's response was going to be, and they finally released their statement,
which we'll get to.
Yeah, which we'll get to, and but I assume once you start hearing these guys being dropped by sponsorships, like Bryson DeChambeau was dropped from Rocket Mortgage, and I assume that's like a guarantee, like, hey, he's going to go play in the LIV Golf Series, because I would imagine you got the two opposing sides reaching out, like Rocket Mortgage, like, hey, are you actually doing this? And I would assume he would have to confirm based on contracts that he was going to go out and play in this.
Yeah, because he did come out and say, I think it was a few months ago, he said, any updates about this will come from my team and my team only. And then all of a sudden, LIV kind of announced, hey, we have Bryson, but he hasn't validated anything, and he hasn't gone to his presser yet with the U.S. Open. But either way, the interesting aspect, I think, to the whole thing is, like you talk about Patty Reed, kind of aging superstar, not well-liked. A lot of players don't really like him, but he's cashing in. Bryson DeChambeau, $100 million. I have a thought. Some of these guys who are jumping on right now, and obviously this is kind of like the second wave, and there's probably going to be that third, fourth, fifth, sixth waves of guys jumping in and being signed. I'm curious if, they overpaid. We all acknowledge they overpaid a lot of these guys, overvalued the shit out of what they're bringing from a golf product. Not because they're not that good, just because that's just overpaying for anything. Yeah, it's like paying for gas nowadays. Yeah, more world politics. We're gonna be current events now. So,
yeah, Jesus.
But I'm wondering if a guy like Patrick Reed waits 3-6 months down the road, and there's already a lot of saturation that has moved over to the LIV Golf. He doesn't get that money probably because he's now one of those pavers, trendsetters, jumping on earlier. I'm sure they have to pay him more to get him over there. Similar to DJ. You probably had to pay him well what he's worth to get him to join that thing. That's whereas if he had waited 6 months and there had already been 15, 20 guys, maybe he wouldn't have warranted that much money. But you had to do what you had to do because he was going to be the one taking those bullets that we talked about.
Yeah, I'd imagine too, like if Bryson was one of the first guys to say he was going, he would probably been a $200 million guy. Mm-hmm. Like in theory, like, or 150, 175, like DJ kind of was the first one that said, yeah, I'm in. Like and I feel he got rewarded by them for saying, yes, I'm into this. So I agree with that 100%. I don't think you'll see any of these other guys getting paid as much as these quote-unquote flagship guys are paying, unless you're maybe a Justin Thomas or a Rory McIlroy. Yeah. But clearly those guys aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, they've came out, and I mean, we'll get into the drama that unfolded with that.
So much drama. I love it.
Golf loves talking about, like, we'll make fun of it.
Yeah.
Other players that rumored to join, Bubba Watson, he's hurt, he had surgery, but like he was on like one of their promos.
Very convenient time for him to get hurt, in my opinion.
That's funny. I just kind of said he's hurt, and some people were like, no, he got hurt to see, again, the perception type thing. But then Liv had him on like a promotional thing, so it's like, all right, so he clearly is going to be a part of this. And he's another guy, like, he's much older than people think. He's like mid-40s, and so he's like an aging superstar, you'd say, so cash in, whatever. But Bubba Watson was rumored, but then other players who are committed to the next LIV Golf event, which is the end of June in Portland. Ricky Fowler, Jason Kokrak, which he's like sponsored by Golf Saudi, so that was an expectation. Pat Perez, which was a surprise. I heard he came out and said, you need to compensate for what I would have made on the Champions Tour because I'm going to lose that status as well. Right. And then Matthew Wolff, which was a little surprise. I hadn't heard that name. Obviously he's been struggling ever since kind of coming on the scene, like with, on fire. But then he's going to go take a big payday to go play in this event. And he's obviously had a lot of other things, but that was someone I wasn't expecting. That's like a young college gun who's already got status on the PGA Tour and will for a few years. That was kind of the big surprise to me.
Yeah, to me, not so much, because I've kind of sat back and, you watch the Matt Wolff thing unfold, and he's finished in dead last in some of these majors and some of these tournaments recently. That could be a guy that is trying to get out in front of it. Like, dude, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be playing golf for, like, on a professional level. Like, we've seen Smiley Kaufman. Smiley Kaufman was a guy right there with Jordan Spieth.
They should get him. I'm surprised they haven't signed him.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think he wants to work. Like, I think he liked doing the reporting with ESPN, so I don't think he wants to hurt his status from that. But same time, too, like, you have to face the facts, and I don't think Matt Wolff is trending in the right direction. He's already come out and admitted having a lot of mental health issues and things like that. So it is surprising to see him do that from that standpoint for a guy that's very admittedly open about mental health issues. But from the standpoint of a game, he does have one of the weirdest swings of all time, and a lot of people didn't think it was sustainable. Mm-hmm. And I think we're kind of seeing now what's going on with his golf game is he's missed tons of cuts over the last year now. Yeah. So
interesting, though. I would love to see him and Bryson on our team. And I don't know. I mean, we'll get into all of our thoughts on how they showed the product and everything. But I just surface level, I'd love to see Bryson, who hits it a mile and has kind of a goofier swing as well. And then Matthew Wolff, who really has a weird ass swing.
Yeah.
Just bomb and gouge, and like they played against each other at the Winged Foot U.S. Open. They're first and second place. Like that was fun to watch. Now, they'll take advantage of certain golf courses. But, yeah, I guess I totally see where you're coming from. I just was surprised because, again, a lot of the guys that I keep thinking we're seeing are like guys who, hey, I don't really care about this as much, about winning a PGA Tour event. I care about the majors because that's where legacies are built, and I can go cash in a lot of money. These younger guys, which we kind of talked about, if they have status on the PGA Tour, that's where there's the surprise. And, like, the surprise, like an Andy Ogletree, who had a one event deal, I think, is what I heard. Is he made $120,000, came in dead last.
Yeah,
is banned from all Korn Ferry PGA Tour status, and he is not guaranteed a spot in the next LIV Series. So it's like, okay, now what do you do?
Yeah.
Now that this is all speculation, because again, not everything's been reported. Maybe he did sign it. I don't know. That's kind of information I've gathered. A couple other names though that were, I think, worth mentioning. Paul Casey, he's been hurt with a back injury. Another guy who I've seen no writing about it. I'm just speculating he would be a guy to go over and do that.
Older,
aging, international superstar. A superstar with loose term.
Yeah, loose
term. And then Brooks Koepka in HV3. HV3 won the Saudi this past year, so he's kind of been rumored. I don't know if like because he won that's why he's rumored, or there's other things. And then I think Brooks Koepka is more speculation. His brother's in it, but his brother's a guy who doesn't have status.
Right.
But his brother's in it. He only cares about the majors. He hates playing in the PGA Tour events.
Not Bryson. Brooks is not. He's not a golf guy.
No, this is perfect for what he wants to do.
100%. Well,
but he hasn't come out and said one way or the other.
No, because I think he's in the same boat as all these other guys. Is like, let's wait and see what the PGA Tour is going to do, and then we'll figure it out. Like, how long are these suspensions going to last? I honestly don't know. We don't know. Are they lifetime suspensions? Are they?
Well, and are they even going to hold up for a little bit, or do they have to go to court before they can actually suspend him?
Right.
I mean, there's.
Well, I mean, rumor has it is if the guys that resigned from the PGA Tour would only have to sit out a year before being able to get their status back on the PGA Tour or playing in PGA Tour events. So I think it's going to come down as to will the LIV Golf Series survive? If it does continue and if it is sustainable, then yeah, these guys are going to be just fine. But like, if let's say after 4 events they just pull the plug on this thing because they're like, we're putting so much money into this, we're never getting it back. We haven't been able to sport wash everybody like we thought we were going to anyways. There's no point for us to do this anymore.